Nicola Roxon, thanks for your time. Have you got any further indication on how long this Royal Commission will take to conclude and exactly how it'll work?
It certainly is years that we're talking rather than weeks or months. We're working through the terms of reference to make sure that it is going to cover the range of things that the community expects, and for us to get to the bottom of what has been really a terrible problem, not just of child abuse, but of then institutions and organisations failing to respond to those reports of child abuse. And that's obviously let down many, many thousands of Australian children and families, and we want to get to the bottom of that. We will need to work through report back times, make sure that this doesn't have an open-ended, go forever sort of a sense to it. But we also don't want to unrealistically put a tight time frame which would stop the Commission doing the important work that the community and the government expects it to do.
Will there be more than one Commissioner?
Most likely there will be. I think with something of this scale and also where a range of skills frankly would be desirable, that it's probably most likely that we will go for a number of commissioners. Again, that's something that we're consulting on. We want to talk closely with the states and territories. We want to talk with victims groups. We want to talk with institutions that are likely to be heavily affected by this report. And I think having your commissioner, often they are somebody with like exceptional forensic and legal skills, but perhaps this is an area where someone with a child welfare or child protection background, perhaps someone with a law enforcement background, these might all be desirable skills, and we're looking at that at the same time as we're working on the terms of reference.
In your view, do you think priests should be compelled to divulge confessionals if they are aware of child abuse?
I know this is an issue that people want to go straight to because there's been so many allegations raised about church organisations and how they might not have responded to reports of abuse when they were made. But I have to say a lot of the allegations that have been raised in the Victorian inquiry and elsewhere haven't been about what's happened in the confessional. They've been about what's happened in churches, in schools, at particular organisations. So I don't think we want to jump straight to what is one of the hard issues that will need to be looked at by the Commission. We need to actually look at the whole range of matters where abuse has occurred, where institutions have failed to respond to those reports of abuse. And you've got to remember, of course, your viewers, that this is not an inquiry just into religious organisations, it's an inquiry into other institutions that might similarly have let people down. So there's a broad range. I absolutely am confident that those issues will be raised fairly and squarely in the terms of the Royal Commission and its hearings, but it's just one of many issues that will need to be pursued by the Commission.
But is there any way that legally priests can be compelled to give such evidence before this Royal Commission?
Well, the Royal Commission will have powers of compulsion. That's part of why this approach is an appropriate one. People can be required to give evidence and they have very strong powers. But I think so far we've seen reports that many institutions absolutely want to cooperate. They too look at some of the allegations that have been made, some which are, many, many years ago, and say we want to be 100% confident that can't happen in our church or our school or our local community again. And that's why I think there's such a groundswell of support for the inquiry. Let's look at how we make the community stronger for the future so that adults don't let down children if they raise these sorts of matters with them.
Cardinal George Pell has blamed media smear for the impression that many people in the public have about the Catholic Church. Do you think the media has exaggerated the claims?
Well, look, as a politician who is often discussed in the media and the government's discussed in the media, we have lots of differences of opinion sometimes about what's in the media, but ultimately that's the media's job to raise certain issues. The Royal Commission will have a much clearer remit. It will look at the facts, it will look at the evidence that's put before them, it will make recommendations about institutions. Now, I'm sure much of that will get covered in the media, and really I don't want to be the person that tries to control, and wouldn't successfully be able to anyway, what it is that the media might report about these sorts of matters.
Okay, well, there are fresh allegations on another matter this morning that a union official back in 1996 deposited $5,000 in cash into Julia Gillard's bank account at the request of her then boyfriend Bruce Wilson. These are new claims. Does Julia Gillard have to answer them?
Look, I haven't seen those claims. I've had my head pretty much in the matters of the Royal Commission, as people might expect. But the Prime Minister's been very clear on this, that she doesn't have anything else to answer, and I'm very confident that she has conducted herself properly.
It doesn't look great, though, an envelope full of cash deposited into the Prime Minister's bank account without an explanation.
Australia.
Look, I think there's been all sorts of, reports made, many of them not with any particular substance. I haven't seen the particular allegations, but I'm very confident that the Prime Minister, as she said in one of the most comprehensive press conferences ever given by a Prime Minister, has covered the issues and made very clear that she's conducted herself properly.
Okay, just before I let you go, I notice you're wearing orange for emergency services today. Just briefly, what can you tell us about that?
Well, look, this is just a week where we particularly say thank you to all of the people who work for the SES and volunteer for emergency organisations. We're coming into summer season. We very much rely on their services. So it's just a way of saying thank you to them and reminding people that they need to be prepared for the upcoming summer season.
A great sentiment to finish on. Nicola Roxon, thanks for your time.
Thank you.